So let's start. So,
Hey.
hi, hi Cheryl. Thank you for
Hi, Kelly.
thank you for agreeing to do this interview.
No problem.
Yeah, I'm really happy to be speaking with you. As you know, there's not many black or any black non-duality female speakers. So yeah, I'm really pleased to be having this conversation and seeing what comes out of it. So yeah. So I'll jump straight in then.
Okay.
Um, So I kind of looked into you a little bit beforehand, not too much. I couldn't find the Sand conference video that you did. Yeah, I couldn't find it anywhere. Is
Yeah,
that, is that
the 26th.
available anymore or?
I'm not sure. I think you have to go on the site and possibly pay for a bundle or something like that.
Oh, really? Okay. Yeah. I couldn't
Something.
find that. Yeah. But I've heard that. I'd like you to ask you first of all is, can you relive what happened to you? So you being in an office at work and then this panic and this shift into this moment happened. Can you relive that for us? And
Absolutely. So in my book, Firing God, I go into detail about that. Is that so? I grew up as a Christian in southern Louisiana in the United States. Very, very religious. That was all I knew. It was in the fabric of everything, everyday life, school. Going to the grocery store. I mean, it was just everywhere. Okay, Christianity and the whole language and lingo, that goes along with it, the traditions, the rituals, all that stuff, so it just seemed normal to me. It was like gravity, it's natural. Like that's that's the way the world is.
mm,
So growing up that way and trying my best, like really, really trying my best to be a good Christian. Like that's all I wanted to be. I wanted to be a good Christian. I wanted God to be proud of me, to always love me. I wanted to prove my love to him. I mean, that's all I wanted to be. I wanted to be a good Christian girl. But sometimes, life doesn't go by the book. Okay. So as I grew up, I started kind of questioning things, what's going on here? The Bible says this, but this is happening. Now, I wasn't really the Bible I was questioning. It was me. Okay. It was me and my ability to be obedient and my ability to, do what I was supposed to do as a Christian. So if anything bad was happening, it was because of me, because something was wrong with me.
yeah.
So, I got into my 30s and 40s, marriage and children and, just life, just happening. And so I was living in another state in Maryland. I grew up in Louisiana, but I was living in Maryland and I was just going through a terrible time, a terrible, terrible time. So I was looking for a new church to go to. And I found one. I thought it was really good. I liked the pastor, I liked the people and all that. And so I started going because I was like, okay, let me get my life together. Let me just start going to church again and prioritizing God and putting God first in the Bible and doing what I'm supposed to do. Because my life is in a shambles right now because I'm not doing that. I'm not a good person. I'm not a good Christian. Okay. And everything is just going bad for me. So I wanted to fix it. I wanted to be better. So I'd gone to church that Sunday. And the pastor, I told him what was going on in my life. I was getting a divorce. My house was being foreclosed on. It was just terrible. So he told me to read a book. He recommended that I read a book. And I forget the name of it. I don't remember the name of the book, but I got it. And when I went home, I began reading it. And there was something in the book that said, I have to get certain things out of my house. Like I probably have bad spirits in my house. I have to get rid of, like, if I have Stephen King books and stuff like that. So I'm reading that, and for whatever reason, I just got so angry. I just got angry because I felt like here I am. I was like, I don't know, in my late 30s, 36 or 37, and I was thinking, I've been trying since I can remember to be good, you
Yeah.
know, and every time I come now, at this point, I'm talking to God. Like I really feel like I'm talking to God out loud. This is not a prayer. Like I'm talking out loud. I'm in my room.
Yeah.
Every time I try to do something, I feel like you're telling me, Cheryl, you're not good enough. You have to do this first. You have to do that first. So I said, I'm tired. Like I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it. And that's when I just told the whole truth that I had never told before, ever. I was like, I don't believe in you. I don't love you. I don't even know who you are. Like, this is truth. Like, I've been living with this truth all these years but never expressed it, because I couldn't, who says to God, I don't love you,
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but in that moment, I was so low and I was so broken and just so tired. I was exhausted. The only thing I had left was the truth. That was it. That was all I had in my toolbox. I had nothing else. So I did that, and I said a few other choice words that I won't say on your show, but but they were truthful. That's really how I felt. And I'm telling you, the moment I did that, I there was such a weight that came off of me, Kelly. And I only knew that it was a weight because apparently I had been carrying this thing for all this time. I didn't even notice it was there until it was gone. I felt like I could float off because I was sitting on my bed, like I could float off the bed or something. I was just so light, after I did that.
Yeah.
Now I'm still scared because I'm like, okay, I just talked to God. He's going to strike me with lightning through my
Yeah.
window or something.
Yeah.
But through all of that weight, and I didn't know what it was. I had no idea what it was. So and then some other stuff happened, and about a week went by. Because I'm still in the mode of, I really thought I was talking to a God, like there was
Mm.
a God out there that I was talking to. So here I'm wondering what that was, like why that light feeling was there. But like a week later, I was at work. Got to work early in the morning. I sat at my cubicle, and this is the part where firing guy comes in. Okay, so there was nothing going on. I sat down. I started checking my emails, and for no reason at all, it was just me, my cup of coffee. I had my email up, checking it. I became terrified. Like you'd have thought a zombie walked in the room or something like that, because I was just so scared. My heart was beating so fast. My palms were sweaty. I'm terrified and confused at the same time because I'm like, what is going on? Like, what am I scared of right now? So then I knew for a fact that I was about to die. I just knew it. That I didn't need confirmation from anybody. I didn't need, a stethoscope or a doctor I knew it because I saw it. I saw it coming, and I only had a little, like I had seconds left, and there was absolutely nothing I could do about it. I just knew I was going to die.
Mm.
So, the thought went through my head, what about my kids? Who's going to care for my kids? And then finally I said, okay, I'm going to die. I'm just going to die, and I was like, all right, with no explanation, no reason, nothing. But I had to just say, all right, and surrender to it because there was nothing I could do about it. Okay. So when I did that, something happened, and what I thought was death really wasn't. It was something is I can't even say the opposite of death. Like it was just something that I never asked for, never dreamed could happen. It was, and I still to this day have no words for it. Okay. All I knew, I knew a lot of things in that moment. The same way I knew I was going to die. In that moment, I also knew that I had been wrong about everything, like literally everything I had been
Mm.
wrong about. And it was funny because I was sitting at my work desk, and there was a computer, and I wondered. I said, "Why is there a computer here?" I could not understand why a computer. That was the strange thing in the room. That computer, like what is that even doing? It didn't fit wherever I was or whatever was happening. The computer was out of place. You know what I mean? So and I go more into detail about all the other things, that I felt and stuff like that. But that was the moment that, set the trend for for like the rest up till today, for because I knew in that, just knowing that I was wrong about everything, it was like a new birth,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know.
Oh,
It was like being born again in
yeah.
that, knowing that and I mean, there was a lot of other stuff that happened in almost like a split second, but yeah, so
Yeah, that
that's
was
strange.
that was a lot in there, Cheryl. Yeah. So what's um strikes me at first was that when you were talking about being a Christian, and it just felt so much fear can be there when you do have, when you are part of an organization or a belief. There's so much fear in that. I could really feel that, like that fear, that control, and that fear. Yeah, it really came to mind when you were talking about that. So I also was a Christian, so I know that I know that struggle
Exactly what I'm
with that
talking about.
fear, and
Yeah.
yeah, totally. But I felt as well like you must, when you were like questioning God and saying, actually, I thought you were so brave to like just to be truthful and to say, actually, I'm questioning you. Why are you doing that? I really felt
Yeah.
that courage that you had to do that, because you
Mhm.
do feel so fearful when you are a Christian or a religious person, or even anything like kind of position where you are like a subject, but you are like in a group and you're following
Yeah.
something else, and there's
Mhm.
that fear. So yeah, I felt really like, wow, God, Cheryl, for like
But
questioning.
you know what, Kelly? So there was a lot of fear there, and even afterwards, right? By like with whatever happened that day, when I saw that I was wrong about everything, I what I saw, like, was different, and it enriched me and all that stuff. But at the same time, I lost the day that I was no longer a Christian, and it was always like the moment that, because that was gone too. Christianity was gone. Like whatever was there before, it was gone. I couldn't go back because there
Yeah,
was nothing to go back to. You know exactly what I'm talking about, right? There was nothing to go back to. So the sense of loss I had was, I mean, so deep, because I lost eternal life in that moment. I lost forgiveness from God in that moment. All the stuff that I had accumulated, treasures in heaven, I
yeah,
all of that was it was gone. Like there was nothing there. And then, all the connections I had to people related to me being a Christian and them being a Christian. How are we going to connect now?
yeah,
I don't know
totally.
you. All I know is that you're a Christian and I am too. Other than that, I really don't know who you are. So there was a very, very deep sense of loss that was there
Mhm.
as well.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I just feel bravery in leaving, being able to stand up and leave. That takes such courage and such bravery. Yeah. How are your so you said your family are also Christians and your community around you are all Christians. How have they taken or responded to you, to you after that then?
It's been strange. Okay, so at first they were hopeful, because in Christianity there's a thing where you backslide, but you can come back. The Lord will take you back, and all that stuff. So they were hopeful that it was something like that. But now the relationship is not the same. Like it was not. It's not the same with my mom and my sisters, my cousins and stuff like that, who I really related to over that Christianity frequency,
Mhm.
whatever that was. We're still close. I still talk to them, and stuff,
Yeah.
but it's a different kind of relationship. It's almost like I was a football fan, and we're all on the same team. Now I'm still a football fan, but it's a different team.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I still like football, but I wear a different jersey, or it's stuff
Yeah.
like go to different games that they don't go to, so it's that kind of, it's kind of weird.
Yeah. But are they trying to get you back in to convince you of, how you're wrong and the church is right, or trying to
Uh
or they're quite
no,
respectful? Okay.
not yeah, no, not direct. I mean, my mom every now and then says, I'm praying for you and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, but
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't really try to discourage me from doing. I think they see now that it won't work, you know. Just like I see that I'm not going to be able to say anything to them that's going
Yeah,
to have them change their minds, you know, about what they're doing.
exactly.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
it's, you know, and I'm respectful of that as well.
that's lovely. Do you find that in that you've become much more like your own person, and like you've moved away from your family in a way, become more what's the word, like um individuated in a way, like you've become your own. Do you know what I mean? Like you've
Yeah,
matured into your own person and your own.
absolutely, absolutely. And a lot of that, much of that had to do with the fact that I started asking questions that I'd never asked before because I already had the answer. Like, why would you need to ask a question when you already have the answer, you know? But now that I know, you know, when I've discovered that, girl, what you talking about? Like, you have no answers, you know? So that opened the door for me to start asking questions again. You know, like, well, what is gravity really? Like, what's this stuff around? Is this really? I mean, like fundamental stuff. You
Yeah.
know, I just started, and I don't care who wrote a book on it, how long they've been going to school, what kind of research they did. I don't care. I'm still asking the question. You
Yeah.
know, so there's a freedom in me that I didn't have before. You know, in just asking questions, you know, and not even looking for an answer. But the fact that I can even ask the
Mhm.
question
Yeah,
is such a freedom.
oh wow. Yeah. So am I not, is my video not on?
No, I can see you.
You can see,
Mhm.
oh, okay. Um, so going back to the office experience where, I can't remember how you put it now, but it feels like you were out of time, you were in eternity, as you call it, out of time, timelessness. And could you repeat that part? Sorry, could you repeat that, please?
Yeah, so uh that was another thing that was very noticeable is that whatever time is, it was not in that moment. It was just gone. You know,
Yeah.
it was almost like you know how we have our five senses and stuff, you know, so as if I would have lost my, I don't know, sense of hearing or something like that. Like whatever sense time is, it just wasn't there anymore, but I was still there. I was still there, the computer was still there, the, you know, emails were still popping up, like stuff was still here without time, you know, which, you know, had me asking other kinds of questions, you know, about exactly what this is, you know. And I really felt like, because it only whatever was happening, it only lasted for me, I'd say like 10 seconds. But it seemed like a very long time. But in that 10 seconds, I really believe that if it would have gone any longer, I felt like I was just going to evaporate.
Yeah.
Really, like I felt like I wasn't. If that had gone on any longer, I just wasn't going to be, and I wouldn't have died. I just wasn't going to be here anymore. You know exactly what I'm talking about, right? Yes, yes. That's what That's exactly. And I wasn't sad about it. I wasn't, you know, none of that. If I would evaporate, you know, I just would have evaporated. But you know, but yeah. So it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, time was just totally gone
Yeah,
until they came
it's such a profound shift. It's such a profound thing to happen,
back. Hmm.
to be out of time.
Yeah. And that's funny, like how you say that, out of time. When we think out of time, we think death, right? You're out of time. You know, your time is up,
Oh, yeah, out
right?
of
Your
time.
time is up. That kind of, you know what I mean?
Uh,
Actually, you know, if that is what it is, then, you know, death apparently doesn't kill us, you know? So,
I had a similar thing of being at the doctor's surgery and just like not quite like that, but looking around and like seeing that the posters on the wall and just like, it's like, oh my God. It's just like it's so magical that this is happening and it's happening for no one. It's just happening and it's just so beautiful. It really is beautiful.
yeah.
So after that happened, obviously you went home. Can you remember how, or can you speak about how after that happened in the office,
Yeah.
how
So
things
so so that day, I remember when things, I don't know, dissipated, or like, because it slowly, it was like a curtain slowly coming back down, So and then everything went back to normal, I guess you can say. All right. That whole, I don't remember a lot of that day. I just remember wanting to go outside. I needed to be in an open space, So I remember wanting to just, be outside. So I couldn't wait for work to be over. But when I got home, I was like, I know somebody else had to have experienced, what happened today. So I just started Googling, and I typed in already in eternity, like the things that came to mind, the stuff that I felt, just to see, has anybody else experienced this? And that's when I came across things from Osho and the other guy, I forget his name. But the stuff I came across, like I would listen to Osho, and I'm like, dude, what is he talking about? Like, I understand the words individually, but putting them together, I had no idea what the hell he was talking about. It just seemed so, I didn't get it. So I finally, I just continue to do that. Just continue to try to find somebody who was talking about what happened to me that day, because I knew somebody was out there, who'd experienced it. And finally, I found a couple people who sounded like they had, and then I came across the term non-duality, which I had never heard before, never heard that before. So then I started looking into that, and I got into the Facebook groups, and then started talking to more people.
and did that match what you experienced? Did it feel, oh, this sounds like this is
Yeah, it sounded like this person has really, yeah, they would know what I'm talking about, if I explain this to them. Because I actually tried to explain it to my big sister, to tell her, what had happened, because I was so happy, what, to find out that I was wrong. I'm like, oh my God, everybody's gonna want to hear this, to know that they're dead wrong about everything. Like, this is the good news. Like, this right here is the good news. No, no, it wasn't. Not to everybody.
yeah, yeah, right.
So it to them, I sounded crazy. I sounded like I needed rest. I definitely needed prayer. It sounded like all of that. But yeah. So I ended up not being able to speak to anybody close to me about it at all. Because
I laugh, but it's actually quite sad to go through that and then have no one to actually share that and have that validate back to you, and confirmed, or just like, you're not going crazy. It's quite a sad thing to yeah, to happen.
and then I was looking for you. Okay. I was looking for a Black woman like me who had this same story, because I wasn't finding it.
Right.
I was finding a bunch of white dudes, okay. And while what they were talking about sounded similar to what I had been through, I needed to hear it from you. You know what I mean?
Mm.
And I mean, it was just, it took a very, very long time before I actually found that.
Well, and you found that, you feel you found it.
Yeah, I found you. And because some people would say, when you were looking for Black people to talk about these kinds of experiences, all I would hear is the guy from Jamaica. What's
Me
his?
too. Me too.
That's it. I'm like, there are 7 billion people on the earth. Moody's the only one. I
Yeah,
mean, come
yeah,
on.
yeah, yeah. It's really, yeah, it's really frustrating. I feel like people assume that one person that's Black is enough to represent everybody. Like, we're not
Yeah.
a monolith. We are different individual people. Like, it's quite sad that people don't realize, actually, being a minority, it's hard. Like, it's not like, yeah, just having one person that's enough for you to on a panel. Just one Black person there on the panel. That's enough. It's
They've met the
yeah,
quota, right?
yeah,
Yes.
yeah, yeah. I've lost what we were saying now. Yes, you were looking for someone who you could relate to, and
Yes, and it took me, because I couldn't talk to my family, about it. I started blogging, and it was secret. I couldn't have anybody read anything I was writing because it was just weird. It was even weird to me, you know.
yeah.
I couldn't share it. So it was like a secret diary online. I just created a blog on Google. I think it was Google.
Okay.
And you know,
So I was going to ask actually. So, like, I think like not finding someone, I feel like, did it help as well in another way? Did it help not, because then in a way like you're free to find out on your own. Just I mean, you're free to, yeah, we're both black, both female, both parents as well, but I'm British, you're African American, we're different, and so in a way you're free to find your own truth and to find your own flow, and do you know what I mean? Not have someone to emulate, or you kind of, is there
yeah.
freedom thinking that as well?
So now that I look back at it, that was, I think it was a privilege, the fact that I had to do this on my own.
Yeah.
I really had to ask my own questions. I had to, look at my own things, just figure things out, on my own. And that was very, 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 very valuable,
Mm.
because also like joining the Facebook groups and just, listening to other people talking, it seemed to me like you had to have a master or something so I'm like, okay, I kind of like jumped the gun. Like I should have had a master before that thing happened to me, at my job, because apparently that comes first.
Okay.
You're under, I don't know who, Nasaga Darta, like all these different, I don't know how to pronounce their names, but
Mm.
all, and that's what a lot of people were talking about. Yeah, I was under master whomever, or
Oh, okay.
I was under Muji or whatever, you know what I'm saying? So, and I didn't have that either. If I could have afforded to go to India for 40 days and 40 nights and climb the Himalayas and all that stuff to do, that would have been nice. But I have
Mm.
kids, I had to pay rent, I was getting a
Mm.
divorce, a life was happening to me.
Mm.
And when all that happened, like that was on my mind too. I knew something profound had occurred, but I was like, okay, I get this, something has happened, but I just don't have time for it right now. I was like, I got this to do and that to do and this to do and that to do. I don't have time for universe stuff. Okay, give me like 6 months. I don't even know who I'm talking to at this point. I just knew something was going, but I'm like, I don't have time for spiritual things right now. I got practical life
Mm.
happening, and I can't dedicate time to meditation, or whatever the hell I was supposed to be doing, and whoever I was talking to wasn't listening, okay, because it was like a snowball. Whatever happened that day, it started a snowball, and I just had to roll with it,
Oh, wow.
with whatever was going on, the foreclosure, the divorce, the kids, like whatever. I just had to roll with it. But it made space for me to be able to roll with it. Things just happened where I actually did have time, to be by myself. I actually did have the ability to, write these blogs and figure stuff out. So, I wasn't on a mountaintop in India, but I was still getting that same kind of space and time that I needed, to work
Yeah.
through whatever was happening.
Yeah. There's another man, I can't remember his name now, but there's another man who also had a shift before knowing about the terms and language around it.
Mhm.
Had a shift happen before that. And yeah, it must be quite hard to then have to like try and find out what this is that's happened and da, 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 da. So yeah. I can't remember his name now, but I can find it and maybe let you know. Yeah. Mm. It's funny how it's so different in different people's experience of this, how they get drawn to non-duality. It's so different. And, yeah.
Yeah, it is. Mhm.
So then you spoke at SAN conference. How did that come about, and how
It
did
was and the 2016 one.
okay.
Uh, yeah, I forget the name. They have themes and stuff. I forget it, but
Mm.
uh, the Catherine and her husband, I forget his name, but they they ran that non-duality book company. I forgot the name of it, but they gave it over to another book company. But Julian, that's his name, Julian. He they helped me with my first book, Fire and God. They published it and helped with the editing and all that stuff.
Sorry, there's a big jump there. So you were looking for someone you could speak to and share about this and ask questions with, and then you didn't have time to fully because you were doing other things with your kids and your house and everything. How what then went from there to writing the book? What was the
So, so as I'm, trying to take care of life and stuff, I'm still trying to figure out what happened, what this was. So as I was looking up different people and looking at videos and stuff, I came across Jerry Katz somewhere, and he had done an interview with someone. He's in Canada. So I sent him an email and I said, "Hi, Jerry. My name is Cheryl. I think he started Non-Duality Salon or something like that. So I just told him a little bit of my story of what happened. Introducing myself to him, and he contacted me back and said, "Okay." So he was intrigued too because I'm a Black woman. And so he was intrigued and he wanted me to come on his radio show. So that was the first interview I did, was with Jerry. And I believe it's on YouTube with Jerry Katz. So we talked about things there. And Jerry.
sorry to interrupt you. At this point, were you feeling much more comfortable, a bit more stable, a bit more clear? Or was you still like a bit, you know, unsure?
Yeah, so I had started to, yeah, I was a little more stable, I guess you can say, versus when it first happened, where this new thing is here and Christianity is gone, and I don't know what the hell is going on.
Yeah.
So I still don't know what's going on at this point, but my footing is I can put one foot in front of the other,
Yeah.
a little more
Okay.
surely here. So, when I finally contacted Jerry, because again, I'd been reading stuff and writing stuff and just trying to figure out what was going on. So Jerry's we began talking, and when I told him my story, he's the one who actually said, "It sounds like you fired God." And I was like, huh, that's actually yes. So that's where I got the title of Firing God, because I wasn't going to call it that. I was going to call it The Freedom of No Choice, is what I was going to call it. Seeing that there is nothing to choose from here. We're not making any choices really, So I was going to call but I liked Firing God better. It was a lot more eye catching, I think. Yeah, so I interviewed with him, and I actually met Julian and Catherine in a Facebook group, because when I was blogging, when I finally decided to start sharing my blog posts, I shared them in that Facebook group only, and that's where Catherine and Julian, they were in that group, So after Firing God, they helped me write the next book, which is a compilation of all those blog posts,
Okay.
Tales from Eternity, So yeah, so that's how all that got written and got started.
Wow. And then you got invited to go to the SAN
Oh,
conference?
Stan, yes, yes. So it's through Julian, who he, I guess, he knows those people at
Right.
Stan, I guess. Yeah, so he recommended that I go there and speak. And that it was interesting.
Yeah, what was that like as a black woman in
Yeah, it
a
was
white male dominated space? I mean, going into that is quite a big thing. So how
right. Um, and the title of my talk was something about the Klan, like the Ku Klux Klan. Yeah,
right,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
right.
yeah. That was in the title, somewhere. And it was nice meeting these different people, like the people that I'd been talking to on Facebook, like I'd finally put a name to a face, and
Yeah.
I was, some really, really, kind and nice people. But it was weird because it was, me I didn't see there could have been another black woman there, but I didn't see her if she was there. There was a good amount of people there. So it's possible, that there were, but it was predominantly um white, you know, and the speakers and stuff like that. So I was honored to be there. I was happy to be there. I was glad to be able to talk,
Yeah, yeah.
about what happened and stuff like that. So yeah, but and that kind of baffled me a little bit because I figured like once I started to get into this non-dual space, I'm looking around and I'm seeing what I'm seeing. I'm like, why does this still look like the rest of the world? We're talking about things are all one, and we're the same or whatever, but it looks like the United States Congress, is a bunch of white men up in there for the most part. You know what I mean? Why does it look like that here? I wouldn't have expected if anywhere, you know, I would have expected more diversity to be here, and I would have expected more value to be placed on other voices, than what's typically out there. But it seems to be, I was like, why is it the same here as it is out there? It was weird, and it was
Yeah,
disappointing
it
to
feels
me.
quite natural to me. It would be like that because it's just a reflection of how society in the West is going to be. It's going to be like that because and also I just feel like well, from my own experience, I feel like the white male is predominantly the one held up as the authority figure. So, we are all, I am used to, a white male being that. And so uncovering that in myself, that this idea of the white male knowing, the white male being the authority on things is quite a strong belief and expectation. And, I mean, even having a female speaker is quite a shock as well. And I had to learn to actually find my own femininity and be able to embrace a woman and
Yeah.
respect a woman. And, it's quite a deep thing that we are all conditioned into,
Mhm.
So yeah, it's yeah, as you uncover all this stuff in yourself, you begin to see, I hold that same belief in myself. I am, as a black person, a black woman, lowest of the low, and the white male is superior, So yeah, it's interesting as you
Yeah,
yeah,
very.
yeah, yeah.
And I think Jerry was trying to, break down a little bit of that, as he, as he featured me in various things, and Julian as well, because folks recognize what it looks like, and that the things, the words that I write and that I say, carry just as much value as, I don't know, some of those other people,
Yeah.
um, yeah, so.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I feel like I'm at a place where I'm just uncovering all of this that I have, you know, being indoctrinated into this system of,
Mhm.
yeah, yeah, it's
And
really deep.
that's why questions have been so freeing,
Mm.
because no matter who it's coming from, whether it's coming from, I don't know, who are some of these non-dual people? I remind me,
Maybe
like
let's
who?
not name names, maybe. Let's avoid saying names.
I'm trying to think of like the ones that are like really out there,
Yeah.
like I can question that too. Like I don't have to, I can ask, I can be like, I can question it. I can say,
Mm.
I don't agree with that. I can form
Mm.
another opinion. I can, what I mean? I can do
Yeah.
all that. I could redefine words,
Yeah.
okay, not two doesn't mean one,
Yeah.
which is one thing that I say, I could do all that, because, I have, like, that's who I am. That's what I
Yeah.
have, the power to do that. And I can do that. So I'm going to do that,
Yeah, definitely.
unapologetically, I'm going to
Yeah.
do that.
That's great. Yeah. I think for me, when I was hearing these speakers, because for me, I found the teaching way before I had any shift. It was the teachings that I found, and I just fell in love. I didn't care who was saying it. Some white old guy. I just needed it. I was just like, oh, I found what I've been looking for. And it was just like, I went to everyone, Eckhart Tolle, Moody, Tony Parsons. I just didn't care. I just knew what they were talking about. I just knew it. I really deeply knew it. And so I was able to like go beyond all these like differences. But yeah, like you say, it's still lovely to have someone who you can relate to as well, to to unravel some of the human stuff, to unravel. I can't relate to, I wouldn't say names, but can't relate to them in the sense of who they are as a human, their day-to-day life, their social class, and I don't have the same conditioning maybe that they may have due to my background being different to their background. I could see beyond it and learn from, resonate beyond it, but that then missed out the human side. So I couldn't then get knowledge about how to be my human self. So that was kind of missing, I think, in not having that diversity of speakers to approach and listen to. So
Yeah. Now,
yeah.
going back to what you said about me doing it on my own, how I really appreciated that. So so my YouTube channel is called Life Without a Witness. And I call it that. One of the reasons I call it that is because when I had that experience, I did not need confirmation. I didn't need to go to anybody to say, was it this or what? I knew I was in eternity. I knew I was wrong about everything. I knew time was, didn't really exist. Like, whatever we call time, it is not real. I knew all that. I don't need, confirmation or validation, none of that stuff, right? But what I did need was, like you just mentioned, there was a lot of unlearning that had to happen. It's like I was at the finish, like I was at the finish line. I'm there. Now I need to unravel all this stuff so I can actually see and experience being at the finish line. You know what I mean? And that's where I really needed that.
Yeah.
That person who I felt like would have not the same, but a similar life experience and could understand what I'm saying when I'm talking about being a Christian, when I'm talking about, feeling guilty all the time. I need somebody who understands, what it felt like, to be, teased at school, for being poor or my skin being this dark. You know what I'm saying? Because there's a lot of stuff that's built up around that, and just hearing from another, Black woman, uh, it's nice. It's useful. It's meaningful.
So after the SAN conference, so well during it, did you find people were receptive to what you were saying? Was it um yeah, did you get good feedback about the talk and
I
did
mean,
you enjoy it? So
I did. Like I did. It felt like I think they were receptive, but at the same time, um, so let me when I was a Christian, okay, there were a lot of things that I did and that I said because I was supposed to do and say them, you know, because that's what Christians do. You know, there was really my real sentiment about the thing was like buried. I wouldn't even acknowledge what my real sentiment was about it. If my real sentiment about what was going on did not align with what a Christian was supposed to feel. Do you know what I mean? So I kind of, and you can kind of feel that with people. It's like a thing called, I think in film, it's called like the Uncanny Valley, when like some people are scared of dolls or some people are scared of clowns,
right.
because it's like this thing, it's supposed to be a doll but it looks like a human. Now I don't know what it is. I'm confused now. That's when you're in the uncanny valley. There's uncertainty, and where there's uncertainty there's fear. you know so it was kind of like, um I'm supposed to be, and we can feel that, like people can feel when somebody's being fake with them a lot of times. You smile and you say good morning and you shake hands and you say all those nice things, but a lot of times we can see past that because there's just something there. Like you're saying these things, but I'm feeling something else. You know what I mean? There was a little bit of that, and it wasn't anything malicious. It was just, it was more dishonest,
Mm.
but like a white lie, right? You tell a white lie for a good reason. You know what I'm saying? So I felt a little bit of that. Again, not malicious or anything like that. Just trying to be what I guess you're supposed to be in that setting.
Yeah, yeah. I like you often talk about truth, telling the truth, and
Mhm.
I really like that. I really resonate with that. Yeah, I really like that. I feel like I'm only now beginning to be able to more and more. Like I think I just didn't know what the truth was, so I couldn't really speak the truth or share my truth. I had no idea really who I was, or what you could and couldn't say. I just didn't really know how to, but I feel like I'm really becoming more able to speak
Yeah.
my truth and express that, um, which feels really lovely. So I really like how you say that. And really
Yes.
important as well. I mean, to not be living on speaking your truth, whatever that truth is for you, there's no truth. It's just your
Yeah.
expression, your truth in that
Right.
moment. It can change as well. So, um, like you're not really living. You're not living, are you really? You're not being yourself. So yeah, I really like that. Appreciate that. You also spoke at a Black Nonbelievers group or something like that.
Yeah, yes, in
What was
Atlanta,
that? Hmm.
Black Nonbelievers, which is it's atheist and the other one. What's the other one called?
Oh, agnostic and
Maybe
atheist.
that's it. I know there's another term. It's not this. There's like several of them.
Oh, okay.
Atheist and maybe it was agnostic. I'm
Hmm.
not sure.
I think one's like they're not sure, and one doesn't believe at all.
Yeah,
The atheists don't believe in God, but
right.
not on the fence and not sure either way, sort of thing.
Yeah. So Black Nonbelievers, they're a group of different. So you got atheists, you have agnostics, you have other questioning, doubting, the folks like that. So that was interesting too. So I did a few things with the Black Nonbelievers, and but Black Nonbelievers is not non-duality. Like it's not the same thing because they're like there is no God. Period. That's just what it is. And but I like that group because when I first, like after that thing that happened where I told God I don't love you, I don't believe you, and all that, and I started getting books, to read different people's stories, about, because I'm a reader. I love reading. And I would actually, because everybody around me still believes, my kids, my husband at the
Oh,
time, my everybody is still, because
so even your children were Christian as well, and they believed.
yeah, I raised them like that. You know,
Right. And then
I,
you
I, I
were
raised them like
questioning. Wow, that's quite a deep
that, right. So
situation to be in. Wow.
yeah, so and here I am, like I don't believe this anymore. So I would get books and read them, but I would hide my books in my closet so nobody would see what I was reading.
Yeah.
When I read them, I made sure I was either out of the house or they were hidden in my purse or my door was locked or I was in the bathroom, you know. So with the Black non-believers, that's a lot of them are in that stage. Like they're questioning and they're trying to read and look at videos, but they got to do it late at night. They got to put the headphones on so nobody hears. They got to look over their shoulder. Is that kind of fear. I'm afraid to doubt or for other people to see that I doubt this fundamental truth, you know? And yeah, so I resonated with them, in that regard because a lot of them that I spoke to were in that, like they couldn't tell, they couldn't say anything about their doubt to their parents. They'd lose
Yeah.
their jobs, I mean, they would literally lose their jobs, if they stopped believing.
That's
Mhm.
so deep.
Yeah.
That's so. Do you think like in Africa? I think belief is a big thing anyway. We are very much like that. But do you think in America, do you think it's more like slavery has a big impact on that? us relying on that book, that Bible, and that God to save us from what we're going through is, it's a big anchor, or a deep a wound, if anything. Like it feels so deep.
It is.
Or
It's
holding on to that is such a big thing.
and I wonder today, Kelly, like I was so, I mean, it was such a part of the fabric of me
Mm.
that it would have had to taken an act of God to get me to see anything else, you know, because that's all, I mean, growing up with that, that's all I knew. That and everything fell back on that. And it's the what Christianity is going to get you, you know. Because, like I said, I'd been accumulating all these things for years. I'd had points in heaven. I had eternal life pretty much in the bag. When I
Yeah,
died.
yeah. That's the thing. It's like,
Yeah,
because you're such a low position in society. We have very little. Therefore, stick it out, tolerate it, and when you die, then you're gonna get all the
that's when you're going.
rewards. So it's like it's so.
Isn't that crazy? That
Mm.
is nuts.
Although it kind of makes sense as well. I'm thinking about slavery again, but like it makes sense. Like, yeah, it just makes so much sense to me. And that fear, the fear of God put into you, is such a big thing. I think it's such a big thing.
But you know what I
Accountability.
heard? One of the speakers at Black Nonbelievers, he makes videos and stuff, and he had this talk, but he made this one video, and that really resonated with me because because as a Christian, I knew that what he was saying was true, at least from my perspective. He said Christians. Oh, and Alan Watts actually said something like this as well, that Christians really don't believe. Like, we really don't believe what we say we believe. We don't. Because if we did, we would not we would not be doing the things that we do. If we
Yeah.
believed there was a big eyeball in the sky looking at every single thing we did and thought, and if we went off course just a little bit, that would be, a threat of hell for eternal. There is no way in the world I actually believe that.
That is so
None.
true, actually. That is so true. That's so,
None.
and also, if you talk to a Christian, there's like lots of fear. There's so much fear of everything, and yet God is all. How can it be God all if you're so
Mhm.
afraid of the devil? How is that possible? It's kind of
Right,
crazy. It is crazy.
right, right. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't really believe it, really. Yeah, yeah.
But it serves another purpose though. Like, as a Christian, I had very little responsibility, okay? Because either God did it or the devil did it, you know. So me being able to shift blame and not take accountability for a lot of things, that was beneficial for me, you
Okay.
know. There wasn't a lot I had to do.
Yeah,
There really wasn't, it was
that's
never,
true,
yeah,
actually.
it was never
Yeah.
my fault. The devil made me do it, and if I did something terrible, I ask God for forgiveness. God will take care of it,
Yeah.
so that really, the belief released me from a lot of the work that I do now, sitting with emotions, you
Mhm.
know, and not, pushing them on to other people, actually looking at my role in the situation that I'm in now. I never did that stuff as a Christian because I didn't have to. It wasn't my fault, you
Oh,
know.
wow. Yeah. Yeah. So how did they take your story about things in that non-believers group you shared about non-duality? Were they open to hearing that?
Well, I talked about firing God. I did talk about that. And I talked about what I knew they would understand, um, because this, I mean, this stuff can get weird real quick. You know what I mean? So, I kept it practical. I kept it on the ground, and I just, now it was interesting because when I was telling my story, somebody in the audience actually said, that sounds like, what did they say? It sounds like Kundalini, is that Kundalini or something like that? They said
Okay.
I wouldn't even know that they would knew what that was, but I didn't, I didn't expound on it or anything like that. But um, yeah, but they actually mentioned that. But no, I keep it practical, which I can do because again, I was a Christian too, and I know what it feels like to be scared all the time. I know what it feels like to always feel like you're not enough. I know what it feels like to feel like you're not worthy
Yeah.
to even be here, much less to have anything. So if you're poor and destitute, it's only because it's what you deserve, okay? Because you were born into sin. I understand that, so I can speak to them, about that.
Mm, mm. So are you speaking out much, in different places or different arenas?
So I write a lot, and of course I have my channels. And sometimes so in my Facebook group is where I'll put I mean the group with my family in it, like not my non-dual group or anything like that. But like the every day my sister, not my mom, she's not on Facebook, but just people I talk to, every day, people I work with and stuff. I'll put stuff out there. And when I do that, it's so funny. Like it's like crickets and rip. I don't hear anything. Like they don't. It's like they're scared. Like okay, don't move. Like just maybe she won't see us if we don't move.
Oh, no.
Because I put out a while ago, I put out one of the idea that because Adam and Eve eating the apple, and she's the reason for the downfall of man, and
Yeah.
and all that stuff. I put on there that that was not that's the original sin according to Christianity. When Adam and Eve were in the garden and they disobeyed God. Well, I made not a recommendation. I presented an idea that maybe that was not the original sin, and the original sin was actually committed by God when he separated everything. That I said that's the original sin. Nothing. I mean, nobody moved, nobody said anything.
Okay.
So when I put stuff out there, because I know, I mean, that's kind of, I mean, if I were still a Christian and somebody put that up there, I probably wouldn't say anything either, or I would go off,
I was gonna say,
on them, right? But they're my family, so they're not gonna,
okay, yeah.
they're not gonna say much about it. But
It's good how you feel able though to communicate and share whatever you want to share in that space with them being there. That's quite nice that they're able to hold that and not fight it or reject it or anything. They may stay silent about it, but at least you're able to
right.
express. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah. Because I don't know, because I never, as a Christian, I never heard anything that I'm talking about, that you talk about, that Muji talks about. I never heard anything about that ever, you know, nothing even close to that had I ever heard. And had someone actually said something, like, I don't know if it would have, like if I would have just rejected it outright, or if I would have started wondering, well, I don't know, could there be something to that? I was just never presented with the opportunity to wonder, because all I heard was King James Bible.
Yeah, yeah.
You know?
That's about how it's taught or how it's interpreted, isn't it? I think there's so much nuggets and beauty in it. It's just the way it's interpreted as a separate position. It's yeah, like most things, humans take it as a separate thing, and it's about separateness and
Mhm.
actual individual people, and it's a real story, and it's yeah. I can hear different speakers now and different religions even, and like you can hear the truth in it, you can hear the beauty in it, the
Mhm.
simplicity in it, the unity in it. You can hear it. I remember I used to argue with Christians when I first was doing what you did and firing God in a way, but for me, it was more like I was saying I wanted to go home to God rather than fire him. I wanted to
Right.
find, actually, rather than a book and a theory, I wanted to actually meet him. I want
Uh-huh.
to meet you rather than just like believing in him.
Right.
And you'll get there. I was like that kind of line of things.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I used to
I
fight my Christian friend a bit for a while. I stopped doing it. But you know what? I can't possibly tell you what I've learned. I can't convey to you what's changed since I stopped. It just stopped after a while of trying to fight and convince people. It was like, you know what? It's my own fear in a way, my own fear of leaving behind that faith and that story and that I was like fighting myself in that person. No, you're wrong because of this. And yeah, it's like so much fear in trusting this and going with it. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And the wonderful thing I think about this whole perspective or whatever is going on is that I, as a Christian, the thing that I had to be, and this is, I think, really what, at least for me, what it was about. I just had to be right. Okay. That that was the most important thing. I had to be right. And as far as I knew, I was on the right side. I was on the side of the group that was right. Okay. So, and now
Yeah.
not having to be like, I could be wrong, not can be, I'm wrong about everything I'm saying right now, you know, but I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
With
Yeah,
that.
that's it.
It's I'm not gonna go to hell because I'm wrong. I'm not gonna get struck by lightning or whatever. It's fine. It's totally fine. The being wrong just allows me to be more creative now. I'm more creative now. Like, because I can come up with other ideas and ask questions that aren't normally asked about stuff. It's just opened a whole realm of creativity that I had stifled because I had to be right. you know
Yeah. Yeah, that's true as well. Yeah.
Mhm.
I think for me, like, yeah, it was just that thing of being right was such a strong thing about being black and being a victim and racism, white
Mhm.
supremacy, and that was such a strong hold. Like, yeah, it was such a strong thing to hold on to. I'm right. The world is racist. The world, all these kinds of things. I was really holding on to that as being right, and that was really hard to see that and acknowledge that. Um, but I think what changed for me was the desire to be happy and the desire to be free.
Yeah.
That became much more stronger
Hmm.
and holding on to being right and getting justice. I think I'll always have this in me to want justice and to want some kind of equality and fairness. I'm very much, have that in
I'm,
me. That's that
I'm-
spirit in me.
yes,
That's
I'm
not
right there
right.
with you. Like,
I'm always gonna have that.
and
um,
I'm right there with you, right? Because I feel like if we're gonna tell the story, then let's tell the story. Okay. It can always be a better story. It can always be a more equal story. It can always evolve in that way. If I'm here, I'm just here. I'm on the stage. I'm on the stage. This is the role I'm playing. Then let's play it. Okay. And if equality and justice and all that is needed, then I'm gonna fight for that. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? But at the same time, at the very same time, I also realize that if there was nothing but black people in the world, there would still be white supremacy, because it's about us. If there was nothing but white people in the world, there would still be I don't know, whatever it is that their issue is with black people. There would still be that problem, because it's not me. It's like what's James Baldwin. I love James Baldwin, but when he did that interview with the guy on the news, like back in the 70s or something, he would, I think it's called I Am Not Your Negro.
okay.
Have you seen that?
I
I
haven't
mean, it's
seen it,
so
I've heard of
good.
it.
Yeah, he's like, he said, I'm not a nigger. You made that up. Whatever
Mm.
that is, you know what that
Yeah,
is. I can't do anything about that because I don't
Yeah,
know what that is. You know what I mean? So
oh,
that's what I mean. If the whole world was black, there would still be this issue, and if it was all white, there would still be the same issue because it's us, like it's something in me, that I need to address. To so at while I know
absolutely.
that, I know this other thing too.
Yeah, like
That
you're holding that label, that name, as if it's true, and as if it means you, you are that, and you're not. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Right. We're trying to live down to these labels. Like
yeah,
we're trying to live down to being white. Like that's a fabulous, whatever thing. You know what I'm saying? It's a
yeah,
label that we're trying to live down to. You're never going to be white ever. You're never going to be black.
yeah,
That's never going to happen.
yeah,
You
yeah.
know what I mean? Never.
That even applies to like living down to like being a person, like living
Yes, you're never
down,
going to be human.
living down to being an individual person. Like we're trying to be small and like,
Right, you're never gonna be human. You're never gonna be a woman. You're never gonna be
yeah,
gay. You're never gonna be heterosexual. Like none of that. Just cut it out.
yeah. It's funny. It's funny. Yeah, the play of it still goes on. It's quite funny.
Yes.
Yeah. Uh, but I think this is the beauty and the joy of it. Rather than this stale coldness, it's actually a full-on experience.
Oh
It's
man, yes.
full-on labels, identities, like going shopping and arguing with it's full on. It's so miraculous and beautiful.
Right. And there's really there's really nothing to do, which is something that I talk about in my book too, like what that means. Like there's nothing it's like boring as hell. Like there's nothing to do. Absolutely nothing. So we gotta, make something up. Like let's do something. Otherwise, there's nothing to do. Like there's really nothing to do.
And yet all this doing is happening.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So I've just thought, do you speak to your children then about this? Are they aware of your book, obviously, and what you've been coming out and speaking about?
They are aware of it now, and I speak to them about it when the opportunity, not the opportunity, just when I don't know, when we just have regular conversations. I don't sit down and say, let's have a non-dual discussion. I don't,
Yeah.
I don't do, but, when talking about school, and things like that, when my son, he started high school this year, so, you have talks with your kids, before they go to school and stuff about bullying and, getting good grades and, being respectful to teachers and all that. So, we talked about, him needing to know who he is, because nobody else can define that for you. You're the only one who knows that. So whether the kid says, you're this or you're that, or they're wrong. Okay, whatever, if it's good or if it's bad, they're wrong. Okay.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
you know who you are, so it's in those kinds of conversations, like, and sometimes they'll say stuff that like surprises me,
Yeah, totally.
because they notice things too, and if I just listened, they'll, like my son and my daughter, like they've said some pretty non-dual things that I had nothing to do with it. They're just making observations, and so it just arises naturally. It's not, I'm going to teach you non-dual, like that's not,
Yeah.
we're not. And I tell them now, Christianity is like, if that's something you want to be, if that's a tribe you want to join, or Islam, or whatever it is, you can choose. You're free to do that. Because I didn't know I had that choice. I didn't know I could say I can't. I
Yeah.
don't want to do this. I didn't. Now I know. And I let them know.
Yeah.
You have a choice. You can choose again.
Yeah,
If you want to.
yeah. I think it opens up your parenting, you
Oh,
know.
my parenting has been changed so much. It really has. It really, really has, it really has. Because my kids were just tools to help me to get to heaven. You know, I was using them to help me to get to heaven because I had to be a good Christian mom. I had to teach them
Mhm.
Christian values. And all that was getting me points with God.
Yeah.
They were tools. They really were tools,
Yeah.
you know.
The funny thing about this awakening or whatever you want to call it, this shift stuff is I kind of got into it wanting to get out of life. I found it so difficult, and then to like start to transcend and get out of it, and then you end up right back in it with the
Right
same
back where you
with the
started,
same
right?
problems, the same issues you're trying to get out of.
Isn't
Yeah.
that something?
That
You
really
can,
surprised me. I did not expect that
yeah.
at all. I really thought it was going to be getting out of it, and it really wasn't. It really wasn't. That's really shocking. So, my children. Anything more you'd like to share as we wrap up? Any last things you want to talk about, or are you doing any talks coming up or anything, any plans or anything?
So I'm writing a book. I found a publisher, but it's a book. So another profound impact this has all had is that I changed careers, you know, because I was feeling very stifled, where I was, and I had no room to grow. So it was almost like that feeling I had when I felt like I needed to go outside, like when it first happened, because I needed more room. Well, that just continued to grow. And in my career, it grew as well, not just my personal life. So now I have a new career in cybersecurity, and the book I'm writing is actually a blend of cyber and non-duality, right? Which sounds so crazy. But what I found was, because I was in learning and development before,
Right.
and I tried to keep what was happening, in my spiritual life separate from my professional stuff, but I can't. It just everything is just
Yeah.
blended,
Yeah.
everything is blended. So the book I'm writing, and I actually got cybersecurity professionals, and I reached out to some of my non-dual contacts to read the book when it's done, to help, proofread it and stuff like that. And it's strange, and it may sound a bit strange, but I see this everywhere. you know it's almost like when you buy a new car, you see that car like all over, you know what I'm saying? Right. This is how it is. Like, I just see this perspective. It's in everything.
Yeah.
You can't get away from it,
Yeah.
you know
Hmm. So what's cybersecurity like firewalls and that kind of thing? I don't know much about it. Like firewalls and that sort of stuff.
Yeah, anytime you have IT, like on Zoom here, Zoom has to use cybersecurity to be sure that, their system stays up. You don't have malicious people trying to take it down and steal information and stuff like that. Yeah,
Right.
so cybersecurity.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I'm pretty unsafe on that. I have no like what's it called? No protection at all on my computers. I'm not sure what I need to get and what I don't need. I'm not really sure. So yeah, maybe
Right, and that's the thing, right? Because it's I mean, when you really look at it, it's this whole thing about AI and IT, and the bits and stuff that's allowing us to speak right now, with you being where you are and me being here. Like, all of that is uh, I think the binary stuff comes from that book. What is it called? I Ching or something like that. That's where binary is first talked about. You know what I'm saying? So it has a very solid spiritual base,
Yeah.
basically. And it's evident, like it's so evident in the work of IT and cyber and artificial intelligence,
Oh, so you're saying that security is about that as well. So like zeros and ones and then nothing and everything, using that in the way of security.
Yes,
Oh,
absolutely.
really
And
interesting.
yeah, and to be secure is actually to be free, is to have, freedom to choose, if you think about what you do when you're secure, like you might feel secure right now, you're not afraid, you're not, hiding behind your couch and stuff like that. I'm sure, and I
Mm,
feel pretty secure right now too. So I'm on this call with you. And I mean, if I didn't feel secure in this moment, I probably wouldn't be doing this. I'd probably
mm.
be barricading my doors or afraid in the corner somewhere or calling the cops or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So, when security is really about, it's not about being locked away or locking stuff away. It's really about exercising the freedom you have to control the things that are within your sphere of influence. So yeah, I don't think a lot of people see it like that though. So which is what this
Oh
book
yeah, no, no.
is going to be about.
As you were speaking, I could kind of like relate to it in the sense of, when you do feel separate, you are kind of like protected, you're kind of locking yourself away, you're using like things to like hide behind. And as you begin to realize you are everything is you. And so there's that kind of like coming out and that opening and that, yeah, security, that dropping of the defenses and the opening. Yeah, I could really feel that when you were talking about.
Yeah,
Sorry.
yeah, yes. And it seems counterintuitive because when you think security, you think defenses, like putting
Yeah,
them up, you know what I mean?
yeah, yeah,
It's
totally.
actually the opposite of that,
Oh,
So yeah.
wow, yeah, yeah. But I don't think you can like let that drop until you, maybe you can, I don't know, but I just feel like having a taste of non-duality, of this being whole, allows you to begin to trust and begin to step your toe out a little bit and like, oh, it's
Yes.
okay, it's not gonna hurt, and then you more and more, then you might re-hide, you go, oh no, it's too,
Uh-huh.
and then again you're gonna try and come out a bit more, and
Yes.
that kind of,
Hmm.
yeah. Oh wow, yeah, interesting idea to put it into science. Right about
Yeah,
that.
yeah, right. Yeah. Um, yeah, so working on that. So just, I'm talking to a nonprofit in a couple weeks about, things that they can do, regarding security. And yeah, so this has been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I mean, having, because one of my question, a chapter in Firing God at the end was actually, so what? Like, I've seen this, we're all one, like, so, so like what the hell does this have to do with anything? You know? And it really does have a lot to do with everything.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, definitely. Well, thank you, Shell. I've really enjoyed talking to you. I'm
Me
gonna put
too.
I'm gonna put your links in the box below, and people can
Okay.
find you and contact you that way. So,
Okay. Thank you so much. I really had a great time. I love talking to you. Thank you.
okay, thank you, Cheryl.
Okay.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Bye.